It does a very good job of trapping the energy in the crust. And for most of the people in the region, that's what you feel. The energy that's trapped in the crust and propagates that way.
Jack, this is Lana again. When you talk about a 6.0 earthquake, is what we're seeing in terms of the effects, the damage that we've heard about there in Napa of buildings that have some destruction but maybe aren't completely flattened, not collapsed? Is this what you would expect, or are we seeing less damage because of great engineering in the California region in general?
No, we're seeing about what we expect in Napa, although saying that, I don't think I have a great idea of how much damage there is, and I'm sure we're going to find that there's more damage. But the problem for Napa is similar to the problem for a lot of communities in the Bay Area. They're a combination of old and new buildings.
Right.
And the older buildings, which were built before the building codes really came up to their modern standard in 1975, are more vulnerable.
Absolutely.
They're masonry buildings, and that's what we will probably see the damage to, but fortunately there haven't been any collapses.
Right, we know that the downtown area,
strong enough for that.
The downtown area of Napa where those older buildings reside is exactly where we're seeing the most significant damage, with 15 or 16 buildings that have been red tagged, as we were told by the Napa City manager. Thank you so much, Jack Boatwright, as well as our Chad Myers, for being part of this conversation. We appreciate it. Also want to mention that we've now learned that the Napa schools are closed tomorrow because of the earthquake in one of those schools. The high school actually sustaining some damage.
Sounds like when
so
homes
we're
rattled
keep on top
during
of
that
this story.
strong earthquake we're telling you about in Northern California. Buildings were damaged and dozens of people hurt in the magnitude 6.0 quake. Now the state governor has declared a state of emergency. Kyung La is following developments and joins us now live from Napa. Thanks so much for being with us once again. Napa, of course, is famous around the world as rural wine country, but it's also a small city, and that small city has taken a big hit. What's going on around you?
80,000 people who live in this city, and they are still trying to figure out exactly how bad all the damage has been. We're going to start with downtown Napa. This is a historic area. You can see that there are bricks lying all over the sidewalk. Had this been at a different time other than 3 in the morning, that gaping hole that you're seeing there, all that would have fallen on people who are below. Take a look across the top of this building, and you can see that the entire structure has been compromised. That corner over there, bricks fell from there, and then look below. That's the damage and how quickly something can happen if anyone is below. So what we have, according to the fire department, or press conference that they just had, is that they're still trying to figure out exactly how bad this is beyond what they're immediately seeing downtown. Here's what he said.
The majority of what we've been doing for the last several hours is assessing the damage of a lot of our buildings in the downtown area, making sure that there was no imminent rescue, and happy to say that there has not been.
And so what they're going through today is trying to figure out where all the gas lines are broken, where all the water mains are broken, how many people are still without power. 20,000, according to the latest information that we've gotten from the city, is that they're still without power. That's a quarter of this city. The damage is extensive. If you go inside many of these stores, things have been knocked off the shelves. Wine bottles everywhere. You can see a number of pictures that are being posted all over social media. We've been to a couple of these places, some of our affiliates, and they see wine barrels that are on the ground. But this is America's wine country, and it ships some of the most expensive wine in all of America throughout this country as well as overseas. So an extensive amount of damage, but also, Jonathan, very, very costly. Jonathan?
Happily, everyone, though, survived except for the wine, as you mentioned. Kyung La in Napa, thanks very much. Even before anyone felt the shaking, an early warning system gave a 10-second alert. that a quake was about to hit. California hopes the system can be used statewide in the next few years. Let's talk more about the quake with Tom Sater. Tom?
Well, 10 seconds is enough to get in a doorway or under some sort of structure, but they're still working on that. It has to do with waves. They're called P waves and S waves. That's kind of technical, but let's talk about this. When it comes to earthquakes around the globe that are 6.0 to 6.9, annually there's 130. But it all depends on where they're located, what the population is like, and how shallow they may be. And this was a shallow. This is not the big one that scientists and, of course, seismologists have been saying along the San Andreas Fault could occur in the next 25 years. This is a lesser-known fault called the Hayward Fault, but it was a 6.0, maybe sending a sign. Here's San Francisco. You can see the bay. I'll get you where Berkeley is, and you can see the shake map and the number, of course, aftershocks that have been felt. The larger earthquake, typically the stronger aftershocks, and for the longer duration, maybe even months sometimes. But that should not be the issue with this one. But again, there was some shaking felt. Most of it was a rural area. Population cones here show where Napa Valley is. So from Napa to Sonoma, yes, wine country is where most of the shaking, of course, did occur. When we talk about the strength of a 6.0, it's considered strong. That's why I'm going to point this out right here. Notice the 5 to 5.9. This is moderate. If you think a 6.0 quake is something, and it is for a populated area, in Iceland, seismologists, meteorologists, volcanists have been watching the movement of magma below Iceland's largest volcano, Bardarbunga, and this one is starting to really fire up in its quakes. Here's a number of volcanoes that we typically see. Authorities here have been watching these cauldrons. Now, 24 hours ago, they said there was a subglacial eruption. So the alert color went from orange to red, which cuts off airspace. Well, in the last 24 hours, after studying the movement, they're saying, no, let's back off. Let's go back to orange. We do not believe there was a subglacier eruption. However, since the midnight hour, Jonathan, we've had 700 quakes, very strong, in fact, the strongest that this area has seen since 1996. And they are clustered, and that's why this is still a place to watch after, of course, what happened in 2010, shutting down airspace across Europe for 10 days.
Still waiting to see what's happening under the ice. Tom Sater at the Weather Center. Thanks very much. Still to come on CNN Newsroom, Independence Day celebrations in Ukraine turn